We heard from David on the first day was, is food the new oil? And I think that this sort of brackets how we started and how we ended. Food scarcity, food cost, the luxury of food, the premiumization of dining. Oil is finite, food seems to be finite, and as we move into a new time, food is going to be taken as both a weapon and as a sustaining piece. Gradle gave us that prime costs mirror the quality of life. If we look around the world, you'll see that the prime costs of our business, food and labor, are balanced. Generally, between 55 and 60% of the cost of doing business is a prime cost. And depending on where you are in the world, the prime cost can sort of mirror the quality of life of the marketplace. Number three is that we have great performers or great operators. Gradle told us that if you look at the numbers that she presented from the top 111, the best operators are the best performers, the people who execute well, who give us great restaurants, who do exactly what our CEO panel just told us, that they know their customer base and they know how to provide value, are the ones that are going to do well time and time again. There is no tomorrow without training. Gradle talked about it on yesterday. We heard it almost consistently, that training and development of your people is where you're going to be for the future. The tomorrow is all about building a future through your training models. We heard from the professor that the nose is how we taste. We've known that intuitively for many years, but the science of olfaction is giving us a true window into consumer behavior. Our friend Martin Lindstrom talked about brand sense and the sensory branding. I'm going to suggest that when you go back to your restaurants, so many of us take things for granted, but you've been away for a couple of days. Here's a good opportunity to go and look with not just fresh eyes, but a fresh nose. In the United States, we have some concepts in the casual theme business that are in some distress. And I think one of the things that makes them distressed is that they oftentimes smell 10 or 15 or 20 years old. Go back and smell your restaurants, because the smells that you might have overlooked are the trigger to memories and are very important to your customers. Olfaction is the first embryonic development phase. The professor told us that of all of the things that we have as senses, at 24 weeks, there's smell. It is part of what we heard from last year, the lizard brain. Use smell as an indicator and a powerful message for your repositioning and enhancement of your brands. Robbie told us that it's the people who make the chicken. It's the people who make the chicken that makes an organization great. And that's a great way to look at your business. No matter what product you sell, no matter what segment you're in, the people you have in your organizations are the front line. We have not just empowered employees, but we have employees who are truly the emblems and the first line into your restaurant. We are at the business of the last 3 feet. Everything we do is within 3 feet of our customers. Whether you're in the fast food business, in the bar business, or in the fine dining business, we talk to our customers in this much space. And the person who is representing the restaurant is the person who's standing next to the customer. It's the people who make the chicken. Robbie also told us that great brands are built from the inside out. You heard him say that again just now. Great brands are built from the inside out. Great brands start from the organization and radiate out. It's the stories we tell. It's the heroes we represent. To build a great brand, you have to have a great core. We heard from Aaron about the cloud, and you look at the cloud and say, how could this possibly be happening? Prepare for the cloud, the one machine. What you need to do is prepare for the new way of doing business. Whether we like it or not, whether we think Google is a monolith or we think that Google is a supplier of information, the internet is here. It is doubling in size and it's doubling in reach. By the time we look at the next 3 to 5 to 10 years, the one machine will be with us, be part of the cloud or be passed by. Aaron also gave us a brand indication. Look for the reconciliation of your physical and your online brands. I wrote an article for Gradle's magazine back in 2003 about the online restaurant. And I went back and looked at it and talked again about it with the branding class this summer. If it's not so much a question of whether or not you have a website, but it's how you communicate the brand on your website to your customers, because all of your customers are using your website. All of your customers are visiting there. So are your employees. And what you have to understand is that your brand is not just the sticks and mortars, but your brand is in the online world as well. It's the virtual brand. Google tells us, we heard this from Beat, that Google isn't a search engine, it's a find engine. You don't go to Google to search, you go to find. The faster you find something, the more successful the search was. Google is not rewarded with 85% of our business because you can't find what you're looking for. Google is rewarded as the world's most aggressive engine because you find what you want fastest. Think about that from your business as well. If you are supplying a service, perhaps it would be good for you to think about your business as finding solutions to your customers' problems. They come searching for something from you. Their search is for sustenance, for restoration, for health and wellness and authenticity. The faster they find that in your restaurants, the more successful you'll be. Think of your business like Google's. You're not in the search business, you're in the find business. He told us about ROPO, research online, purchase offline. Anyone who knows how the internet works, you in fact do this. I believe his number was about 80% of all the purchases that are initiated online are actually done offline. You go and you find the phone number or the menu or the location for a restaurant just like you used to in the phone book, and then you go and make a purchase. You buy things offline that you searched online. You look for information. The same thing we just talked about with the restaurants. It's the question of trusting the supplier, but I need to know more. And the way you do this, the place to find information is online. So this ROPO is a great idea. If they're looking for information from you, are they able to find the information they need in the virtual world? He talked about the digital immigrants versus the digital natives, and he used the smiley face as the difference between those two generations. For those of us who are digital immigrants, on the left is the traditional smiley face. For those of who aren't here, my children who are digital natives, the smiley face is the emoticon, is a colon and a parentheses. That is not a smiley face to us, that's punctuation marks, but that is truly what a smiley face means. We need to understand that there is a divide between these two sides. And there's a divide in your restaurants between these two generations. They use us differently than we use ourselves. It's time for you to not just become aware, but to understand that the search and the way that they use our services is defined by the way they look and use the internet. Oops, wrong way. If you have business during the week, John told us, and on the weekends, and at night, it helps. That's really, there's one of these every year. Last year we had, you wanted your cash inflow to be greater than your cash outflow. If you have business during the week and on weekends and at night, it helps. If you remember nothing else, that's a good thing to remember when you leave here. Performance is cheaper than advertising. We heard that performance is cheaper than advertising. Advertising creates trial usage, execution creates frequency. Advertising creates trial usage. You get people in because of advertising, but they come back because of execution. Performance is, in fact, cheaper than advertising. We heard from Jim, employees who enjoy their work do a better job. Employees who enjoy their work do a better job. Which comes first, high performance or high motivation? Or is it high motivation creates high performance? The answer is yes. Those two are equal. High performance yields high motivation yields high performance. People who enjoy their work and like going to work like their customers. He told us, Jim gave us a great line, and one for us to go back and really look at those 3-foot employees, frontline level leadership. The organizations that we run as service providers, where we do all of our business within 3 feet of our customers, your business is being led by your frontline employees. Whether they're counter people or servers or bartenders, these are the people who are leading your organization, and it's your job to serve them to make their jobs better. Southwest has this wonderful idea. In order, the employee comes first, the customer comes next, the shareholders come third. Employees, customers, shareholders. It's interesting, there's another great company, worldwide company, Johnson & Johnson, the pharmaceutical and medical supply company. If you go to their website and look at their corporate mission, they say the same thing. They add one more line. Number 3 is actually the community. They have 4 steps: employees, customers, community, shareholders. And they are the ones that did the Tylenol recall a number of years ago, where they were only concerned about their customers after they were protecting their employees to make them safe. If the employees are safe and they work in a safe environment, the customers will come to them, the community will win, and then they'll make money for the shareholders. 2 great companies, same great philosophy, one that was very, very good for us to remember. David again gave us a little talk this morning and then sort of reflected what he had said the first opening session. Those who own the oil own the nations, but those who own the food own humanity. We're in the food business. We are at the end of the food chain. One of the subtexts for what we were doing these last 2 days is talking about going from the farm to the fork. All right? We are at the end of the food chain. Our ability to build trust in our customer base, how we are authentic, comes from the idea that we are supplying them with things that they ingest. Of all the businesses in the world, ours is one of the most primal, and the fact that they trust us with the products we sell gives us a link into this. We are part of this changing dynamic of power in the world. And that comes down to this trust the supplier versus I need to know. Do I trust you with what you tell me, that the fish is safe, that my chicken is safe, that I'm not going to get ill, that I'm going to be better when I'm done with you, or do I need to know more? And in a world of transparent information that Google and the internet brings us, your customers know more about your business than anybody else has in history. And every one of the 3.2 billion people with cell phones, not everyone, but almost all of them, have cameras on their cell phones. Just like you did last night, people going around taking pictures with their cameras. They have a way of making sure that they can trust us because they can document it for the world and it'll appear on YouTube tomorrow. We've changed the nature of trust in the world because of technology. I used this line when we were talking to the panel. We're welcoming to the age of hyper-authenticity. Everybody wants to know everything they can about what you are doing. They are more educated as consumers, but they still need to be educated. They are more knowledgeable about the products that we serve, but they also need to know more about where it comes from. They do want to know who the parents were of the fish they're eating. They do want to know which sea it came from. They do want to know about the carbon footprint. Do they want to know about it all the time? No. Do we want to know about calorie counts and trans fats and cholesterol and sodium? Absolutely. They want you to give them an authentic meal at a decent price and provide it so that they can trust you. They want to go to your restaurants. We want to go to our own restaurants and not worry about the authenticity and the safety of the food. The faster and more trust they have built with you, the easier it will be to give them this information. And then I'll remind you that how I ended yesterday. We are closer to September 2015 than we are to September 2001. This is about looking to the future. You do need to have a clear vision. As we heard Kim say, leadership requires you to look around the corners to help your organizations grow. We tend to be a great backwards-looking industry. We know what our food cost was and our labor cost was last month, but the customers want us to tell them, and your employees want to hear from you, where are we going? Where are we going to be in 3 years, 5 years, 7 years? The future's here. It's not something that we just talk about. Thank you. See you next year for the Food Service Summit number 10, our 10th anniversary.